people are waking up, and I clarify waking up, not woke, waking up to say we've been misled.
Yes.
We've been lied to, and we've been put things in our body that we shouldn't have, but believing an entity that we were taught to believe in, and now there's got to be something else. Or now, how do we dig ourselves out of this shit?
But before we get started, folks, make sure you hit the pause button. Okay, go down below. There's a Rumble link. Go over to Rumble and follow us over there. QFS1776.com is, without question, the holy grail of what's to come. Okay, T-shirts. You got to get yourself decorated. This way people will ask you, what is XRP? What is the quantum financial system? What is this? What is that? And you send them where? To QFS1776.com, where they need to immerse themselves, because we're going to burn down this system down to the ground. And out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. There will be nothing to go back to. Believe me when I tell you that. Unified TV will take over Netflix. We're bringing in the next genre of movie producers and storytellers and actors and actresses. And we're telling the story of how the world is going to be on earth as it is in heaven. JSARA NESARA is coming. Don't make no mistake about it. Gold and silver, right down below. Promo code Mel Carmine. Make sure you use the promo code. Almost $8 billion in sales. We're direct to like a bunch of mints. We are the ones that can get you the gold and silver directly to your door, okay, at the cheapest price. Don't even waste your time looking for a cheaper price. It doesn't exist. Also, our Telegram groups down below. If you want to learn what's coming and you're sort of a little scared, I understand. Believe me, I was there too at one point. Our Patriots are literally waiting for you in the room. And if you need more than $10,000 worth of XRP or $1 million worth of XRP, you come see me. Send me an email at QFS1776@gmail, and we'll get you as much as you want.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are right now. We are happy you're joining us. I hope God is blessing you where you're at. You and your family are safe, healthy, wealthy, and wise. My name is Scott Steele, and welcome to the Carmine Connection, formerly known as the Mel's going to kill me. The Mel Carmine Show. I just renamed the thing. Yeah, I was like, you know what? He connects so many people. So welcome to the Carmine Connection. Actually, my name is Scott Steele. I'm a radio and television host, originally from Tampa, Florida, where I'm broadcasting from today. But I've been in Los Angeles doing radio and television all over the world out of Los Angeles, California. And found a gentleman who introduced me to several things, one being XRP and the new quantum financial system that we're learning about together. And also, I have been, and some of you may know or may not know my situation, but I was in a car accident. My family has bars and restaurants, and I was in an Uber coming home after having a couple cocktails, and was in an Uber, and a drunk driver hit me. And ended up with a severe TBI, brain injury, that took a big shift in my life. And I went from hosting shows on MTV and E! Entertainment and Party Like a Rock Star lifestyle to looking at health and wellness. And which ironically, that had no idea until a few hours ago I was going to get blessed with this conversation to our guest today. So Mel would want me to remind you, check the links below if you need any XRP, you need gold and silver, if you need a microphone, as we continue to joke on the channel, to use your voice to get the word out. The quantum financial system is happening. It is the new financial system. Whether you like it or not, you can believe in the old antiquated ways, but it is happening, folks, and this is not a truther. This is just the facts. It is running in parallel to the banking system that we know today, and the only way you don't get left behind is by doing your own education, and that's what happened with my TBI. My doc sent me home and said, "Hey, don't go home and sit on the couch and watch Friends and Seinfeld. educate yourself, find something to learn. And thank you to my friend Kenny, who gave me a heads up and introduced me to a couple other gentlemen that started opening my eyes, and that continued to lead me down a path again to health and wellness. I would not be having this conversation with you today. I could not have this conversation with you today if we were 3 months ago. Great products from a company I work with called Numi. That's a glutathione product. We have EE Systems, which is actually where Mel is opening his center right now in Chula Vista, California. You can go to Staying Alive with 2 Eyes, wellnesscenter.com. It is the EE system is amazing. We'll talk more about that in this video. It has changed my life. It has enhanced my vision to where I don't wear contacts any longer. I couple that with a glutathione that we put in the scalar technology. And if you need any more information about that, you can hit me at Scott Steele Live. Happy to inform you about that. That's my IG. But that brings me to our special guest for today that is a very knowledgeable and one of my favorite subjects, because if you don't have this in your body, you're dead. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Hydrogen Man. Greg, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, brother. It's really actually nice to meet you. You and I, obviously, we have never really talked, but Mel introduced us.
He goes by anything, pizza guy, pepperoni head, sausage. Yeah, so yeah, he just likes to be mentioned. So we mention him a lot so he doesn't feel left out while he's traveling. So tell me about yourself. Let's start so I'm a little bit, you heard my story there a little bit. But let's start from the beginning. Where did Greg come from? How did you get to be known as Hydrogen Man? Do you have a passion for water or hydrogen or both? Or how did this all come about?
Well, I definitely have a passion for both. Ultimately, what happened was I was just sick. I got really sick and I didn't really care too much about eating healthy or drinking clean water. I didn't even know what hydrogen was actually back in the day. And really, that's where it all began. When you're really sick and you literally can't walk, I didn't even have I couldn't even change the channel with a remote control. That's how much pain I was in. My joints were in so much pain and I couldn't walk. And it was, and I had a heart condition and I had autoimmune issues. I mean, the list is pretty long of the issues that I had. And technically, I'm not even supposed to be technically alive at this point. And so I had to learn about health. And it really led down a very strange path, which I never would have expected in a million years. And it's really something that's coming full circle, because obviously I'm seeing the way that kids are treated these days, how there seems to be an agenda about taking people's health down. And I ended up being a part of this whole thing where I've been, I always like to say, look, I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm not making any medical claims. Everybody, go consult your physicians, whatever, but I mean, I even worked and specialized in the medical field for over 2 decades. And it's so funny how you see what's going on behind the scenes and what's really happening in the real world and what you can really do in order to improve your health. And I just think it's something extremely important. Couldn't be more important these days.
Well, and you know what? It's funny that you bring that up, because in my current situation, and I am healing, and from one of my teachers, I'll say, Reverend Arlene, always told me, be careful with your words, use your words wisely. And I don't think you take that, not you, but anyone takes that into consideration until you get sick, until you get unhealthy. And you don't think about what you're putting into your body, whether it's good, purified water. We won't even get to the hydrogen water yet. It's not, let's just go with purified water or a high alkaline water, which I know you're going to go there. Different people think different things. But what my original thought there is, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. If you have, right now, and I don't know how well versed you are into the XRP world, but if you have a good chunk of XRP there is a very good potential that your bank account, that you'll never have to worry about money. They are saying that it will create generational wealth. And again, this is not financial advice. But all that being said, you can have $1 billion in the bank and you can't walk or you can't think. My current situation, as I was saying, I'm healing this severe TBI, but I couldn't have, I wouldn't be able to host this podcast 3 months ago. I really would not be. I mean, I saw a friend of mine and he's like, oh my gosh, you're a different person. And that included my holistic guy, Dr. John. He and I have become water freaks, together. And I want you to, because I saw as I was doing a little bit of research about you, I want you to talk about, do you have is it nearby your water book of,
this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I got a lot more than that too.
Oh, right on. So Dr. John is works in energy medicine and kinesiologist and holistic healer. And he has taught me a little bit about energy and programming your water. And I would like you, because you can probably speak volumes, no pun intended, more to this subject than I can. But talk a little bit about, but in fact, let's go back, Greg, if you will. And why don't you tell people, a lot of people know, our bodies are 75% water. Is that correct? 70% water?
Believe it or not, it actually depends on your age, but roughly, yes.
Okay. And talk about why the importance, and let's, kind of tell, I know a little bit, but help our listeners too, who may not know the importance of water, how much you should drink, the purified water, why it's so important, how bad our water's gotten. If you could speak to that for a second, please.
Well, so we can get real crazy when it comes with the water thing. And I personally think we should talk about the alkaline water thing, because it is actually not a black and white thing. There's a lot of gray area. And the first most important thing, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, is the stuff that's in our water and how it affects our health. And there's a lot of things in life that affect our health. I mean, we're talking about chemicals in our food, obviously pesticides and whatnot. We're talking about stuff in the air. We're talking about stuff in our own house. Yeah. We're talking about stuff in our medicines. I mean,
cleaners.
Just, dude, it's everywhere. It's absolutely insane.
Toothpaste, if you're not aware.
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. It's everything. And the one thing that I will say is this. There's two things to me that are foundational, and then beyond that, and that's how I basically changed my life, improved my health. And I actually get I get contacted all the time from numerous doctors. This is really weird to say this, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm having to educate doctors and naturopaths on water, on hydrogen, on certain modalities that I've created. And I've created them because they've seen the results from their patients. I remember one doctor who literally said, what I'm seeing is impossible. And he was asking the patient, where did you learn how to do this? And the lady told the doctor, well, there's this guy on YouTube and he helped me out. And they're like, what? There's no way there's a guy on YouTube showing you how to do this, because this literally, you should get a Nobel Prize for this. This is so big, whatever it is that's happening to your body. And it's not that complicated. It's not that complicated, Scott. It's actually quite simple. And it really has to do, and I'm not trying to throw doctors under the bus, it really has to do with understanding how the human body truly functions, not the way that we think it functions. And there's some pretty basic things. But when it comes to water, water is highly, highly polluted. It's absolutely insane. I mean, I have literally, this is a third-party lab test that was done. If you were to see the things in the water, I mean, I have lists of chemicals in the water. It's unbelievable. And I know that this is not the full list. And I got pages of this stuff. There's pages of chemicals in almost every single person's water. And I say almost everybody, which is, it's basically everybody. But a lot of people think like, oh no, I have an artesian well. Let me tell you something. I've seen the lab tests. And I'm a guy who goes off of data. So I'm not a guy who goes off of opinion. And it's a dangerous thing to go off of opinions, because I've seen a lot of issues with that. All the protocols that I've created are pretty much from data. And I take data from everywhere.
what do you say? I have one of those. He's amazing, my dad, but he's 79 years old, and he comes from the old school of government wouldn't put anything in the water that would hurt you, and so and why am I, why do I have to pay for water when I just get free out of the tap? And what do you say to that guy? Because I've tried to tell my dad this, and my mom too, who has kind of forced him to drink, and he doesn't want to drink a lot of water. And it's when he started his company, if you remember the movie, the Will Smith movie, when he was trying to become a stockbroker.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And he has a line in there that he didn't drink water during the day because he wouldn't have to get up to go to the bathroom because he only had a set amount of time. Well, that's what my dad did when he was hustling, starting his company. So that was a kind of a mindset that he got into, and that, rings true to this day. He's like, oh, I don't have to get up and use the bathroom as much. Tell a person like that. I don't mean to attack. My dad's going to shoot me now, but but tell somebody like that the importance, because he'll never hear it from me. But a lot of people need a third party. They can't hear it from their children, or their, or a less than they're, perceived.
All right, let's just get into it, because this is real simple. Again, I'm a man of facts. That's for the most part, well over 90%. So here's the thing. Our water's clearly polluted. Is it because government's adding stuff to it? I'm not going to go that far. I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm not going to go that far. This is what's going on with pollution in water.
It's gotten toxic somehow.
Well, it's easy how to know why it's toxic. We live in a world where we've created many chemicals. We've created so many chemicals, even down to just our food. We spray them with chemicals.
Right.
All this eventually gets into the water. I'm really sorry, but like, for example, let's use one of my favorite examples is something called PFAS. How much do you know about PFAS?
I don't. Okay. I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't either.
So first, let me just tell you this. PFAS is in basically everybody's water. Okay, I would say almost everybody, but it's basically in everybody's water. In the United States, we're talking about United States right now. Now, PFAS is extremely toxic. We know beyond the shadow of a doubt, by the way, that it causes cancer, okay? So people can try to argue with me about it. It's in everybody's water. This is one chemical of many, just one. Now, here's the thing. Look at California. By the way, California has a major problem with PFAS, major problem. It's in everybody's water. I'll just give you one example of how it got in there. Guess what? It's a chemical that is used to fight fires. Geez, I wonder how it got in our water. Okay, that is just one. There's a lot of it in New York. There's a lot of it in Florida. It's all over Texas. It's all over the place. I mean, this stuff, it's not just to fighting fires. It's in numerous products that we have, numerous clothing that we have. It's everywhere. And that is just, again, one of many chemicals. Now, here is the key. This is what I did, by the way, to help heal my body and get back, because I was a mess. I mean, it's really,
before we go down that road, how did you get sick? Were you sick from the water, or did you get, what happened to your health?
So the truth is, I'm not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was to try to guess, and I'm not going to get too weird about this, but look, I had a lot of issues since I was really little, like 7, 8 years old. And when I say issues, they were emotional issues. And I didn't have a bad childhood or anything, by the way. It was just, it's a long story of what really happened to me. All I can tell you is that my soul felt like it was in torture. I felt like empty inside so much. No matter what the world was around me, you could give me a Ferrari, you could give me a mansion. I felt dead inside. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Something is wrong. And I was extremely sad and depressed. And I literally thought of taking my own life multiple times every single day. I poisoned myself. And this is, not to get all weird about this, but yeah, I poisoned myself multiple times. I did attempt to take my life multiple times. And I don't think that it had the most positive effect on my health. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. And so that was probably what made me sick. I did that way too many times. I did have doctors tell me that it was literally a miracle that I survived the last attempt on my life. I should have not survived. It should have never happened. So that's what I think had a huge impact on what made me sick, in my opinion.
And so let's go back to where you were about water and how you healed yourself.
Yeah, so ultimately, I was trying to figure out how to heal my body. I understand the medical establishment. I know the system. I know how it works. I worked within it for a very long time. And, you know, they're more about masking. Sometimes I think we all understand that. They don't really go to the core problem. And I started doing my own research thinking, you know, I got to figure something out because I can't live like this. Just like you said, it doesn't matter if you have $1 billion in the bank. It doesn't matter when you can't walk, you're in extreme pain, and just nothing does anything for you. Even painkillers basically didn't work for me. It didn't matter. I was in just so much pain. And so I started I thought, you know what, maybe if I were to purify my body, if I were to understand what it truly needs to build on its own, the way that it was naturally intended to do. And that's what really began, you know, the structuring process of what am I going to do to heal my body? And I have some pretty basic things. And one of them is extremely clean water is one thing. And then I discovered hydrogen. And when I discovered hydrogen, I was blown away. Everybody and their mother now is talking about hydrogen, but I was on the hydrogen train a long time ago. I mean, I have a YouTube channel that's been talking about hydrogen for just about a decade. And I've been trying to educate on it because the majority of people, and this includes physicians and doctors, not to throw them under the bus, they don't actually understand the right way to do hydrogen. I'm the guy who actually invented the best protocol there is. I mean, I'm that guy. And the data that I was using in order to find the correct information, because there's a lot of misinformation. I hate to say that word because it's such a big term these days, but there's so much terrible information out there about hydrogen. The data that I've been taking comes from the #1 university in the world that uses it medically. It's already approved medically, and they understand it better than anybody. And that it is a Japanese university that is using hydrogen already, again, medically. And it's called Keio University. And so I took the knowledge, basically the best knowledge there is in the world is from Japan. The Japanese are the ones who really, truly discovered this whole thing about hydrogen. But then I built upon that. And I realized that the way that people were making it was really, in my opinion, wrong. And that's been happening a lot in America. And so again, there's just a lot of bad info, and I've been trying to educate on it a lot on my YouTube channel. And the results have been just literally miraculous, which is one of the reasons that I've had so many physicians contacting me. And one of the most recent stories, it's funny that you brought your TBI into the equation, because I worked with a woman. It was a very interesting story. She actually contacted me, and boy, this poor woman could barely talk because she would try to talk. She wouldn't remember what she was saying. It was extremely difficult, man, to have a conversation with her to be.
You can't remember what you're saying. You think you know what you want to say, but it's almost like your motor skills for your hands and your feet. You can't get them out of your mouth. I mean,
it was an absolute mess.
Yeah.
You know, trying to speak with her, and I was trying to give her a hydrogen. Go ahead.
And it's so for those of you, let's digress. I like to keep the viewers up on it. So if you don't know what a TBI is, it stands for traumatic brain injury, and it's categorized mild, medium, and severe, or moderate and severe. And when I tell you on the severe side of things, it was awful. And alcohol is one. If you know someone who has a TBI, because you get migraines, you don't want to get off the couch. Most of the doctors, it's an expensive process to treat if you don't know the right treatments to do. Stem cell is one that's very expensive to look at. We have some things that we're going to tell you about a little bit later that have worked wonders for me. But the traumatic brain injury, as Greg is saying, you just can't get the words out, and it becomes so frustrating that you don't want to be on the planet. I was never suicidal, but I was just so frustrated between the headaches, and you can't sleep. You almost drive yourself insane with all that. And thank God I've been able to get a handle on it, again, to allow me to even do this conversation, to share this information with people. So go ahead, please, Greg, on the TBI.
Yeah, so, and it's not just TBI. I mean, the things, just so people understand the power of hydrogen, let me give you a few examples. My own father, okay, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, glaucoma, and arthritis. Okay. These are just issues that he was dealing with. And this happens to a lot of people. And it's happening to the youth even more these days, which is a whole other conversation I won't start quite just yet. I got him on a proper hydrogen protocol, all those issues. And again, this is not medical advice or medical claims. I can just tell you what happened to my father. All those issues are gone. No more medication needed for any of this stuff. It blew my mind, but I was following the data. I had found data that supported the fact that this could potentially help with these issues. Of course, I started creating protocols. And as I was creating the protocols, more data came out also. In regards to the TBI, the woman who had contacted me, who could literally, like, she couldn't form a sentence. She just couldn't remember anything. And I hate to say that it was frustrating trying to speak with someone and guide them to help them when they couldn't remember anything. So she would write everything down. Brother, she gave me a call back. I'm trying to remember exactly the time frame, but it was somewhere between 4 to 6 months. She called me and I was like, hello, and she said, hey, is this Greg, the hydrogen man? I was like, yeah, it is. And she said, do you remember me? And she starts talking. And I'm like, because by the way, I talk to a lot of people. So I'm like, it sounds familiar. And as the more I talk to her, I'm like, wait a second. This is not the same person that I spoke with before. She was forming coherent sentences. She was remembering. And she said, I just wanted to get back to you because you changed my life. She said, this hydrogen thing is unbelievable. And I'm like, well, I already know that. I already know that hydrogen's unbelievable. But I love for me, what fills my heart with joy and gives purpose to my life is when I speak with people that I'm able to help with and change their lives.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm doing. And look, life is short. We all know life is short. I know a lot of people chase a lot of things in life, whether it's money and cars and girls or guys or whatever it is that people are chasing after. And, to me, all those things, not to knock anybody, but to me, those things are empty, because you can get 10 Ferraris, 1 Ferrari, a mansion, whatever, but what good is it if you don't have love in your life? And when you give you give the gift of health to me has a lot to do with love and just the life-giving molecule, which actually appears to be hydrogen. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I know, because you hit something that rings a big chord with me. And I think we're going down a good road here. And I wanted to stay in this lane for a second, but sure. I think you are 100% right. And I've noticed this in my journey, and a lot of people that I've shared some of these products with. In fact, the EE system, which Mel is opening now in the Staying Alive Wellness Center, there's a center here in Tarpon Springs, which I've been going to. And we'll talk more about that and the scalar wave technology that it is. And I think it complements, but all these things started showing up when I started, and I'm not a big, I have not totally quit drinking. I have a few glasses of wine, but it's under control. I was hitting it 2 or 3 times a week. I wasn't about the alcohol. I like going out, having fun and socializing. I'm a social butterfly. Guy, but the cocktails come along with that. And, in Hollywood, there's always an event, there's always a red carpet, there's always this deal, a schmooze fest or whatever. And guess what they're serving? Cocktails. So you do that and it becomes the norm. And again, I have nothing against alcohol, but I will share with you, if you decrease your alcohol, which dehydrates you, which we're going to talk about in a second, but also it lowers your energetic vibration. And so when you cut that out, you start cutting sugar out, which I still have sugar. Again, not that I want, eat it by the spoonful, but, I've got a little sweet tooth. So I have a bite here and there. But when you do your research and find out how toxic sugar is by itself to the system and how it can lower your vibration and trigger a whole bunch of things that sets your brain in haywire. When you start cutting these things out and you get in your body healthier and healthier, you get clearer and clearer and you raise your vibration. And I know a lot of you may be watching this channel and going, what the hell are these guys talking about water and hydrogen? I want to hear about XRP and QFS and all this. But let me tell you something. I have been clearer, more focused. I've made better decisions. I've learned how to watch the market. I've made money. because I haven't invested when I was able clear enough to make better decisions, all from not from just drinking water, but drinking good water, eating healthier, and some of the other things that I mentioned. So when you take care of your health, and one of my mentors said, when you take care of your health, you take care of your spiritual side, you know what? They all start lining up. And back to what you were saying with love, your love life, when you get your shit together, guess what? The universe goes, okay, now he can take care of somebody else. Or now he can share that with a partner. You know, I didn't have my shit together. I could barely take care of myself. Call it Peter Pan effect or whatever you want. I don't care. But, you know, now it just, as you're taking care of yourself, it just, things seem to start flowing. You're in the flow of things. So tell me about this hydrogen. What exactly does, you know, before we got on the air here, I saw you had your tubes in. I've done the hydrogen a couple of times with my holistic guy, Dr. John. Tell people what the hydrogen does, the best implementation for it. Can you hurt yourself on it? Is it a do-it-yourself? Talk to us about hydrogen and how to show. Why don't you just turn it on and show people how it's basically an oxygen tube that people probably seen on one of the TV shows if they haven't experienced it themselves.
This is an important part, actually, when it comes to hydrogen. I mean, this is just inhaling pure hydrogen gas. Like, let me ask you, for example, you were saying you were talking with Dr. John. Do you know, by any chance, the name of the device he was using?
No idea.
Okay, you have no idea what equipment he was using. So what I've learned,
had 2 canisters on it, and it was, yeah.
Was it 2 canisters with bubbles running through them?
Yes.
Okay, so I think I already know what you were using, and you're probably not going to like to hear this, Scott, but
I think it was a $4,000 machine.
Yep. Well, once you have those bubbler canisters, do you even know why they're there?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, they're completely unnecessary, and only the wrong equipment runs those. And see, this is exactly what I mean about misinformation about hydrogen, because there's so many physicians that are using the wrong modality of hydrogen. The reason that they have those canisters is because they're actually trying to filter out toxic gases. I hate to give you that bad news. And so they're trying to filter out toxic gases because the way that their equipment is making the gas is not pure. See, a lot of equipment out there is using chemicals to make hydrogen. And this is exactly what I don't believe in. I don't want chemicals on my food. I don't want chemicals making my hydrogen. And I don't want to have to filter out the chemicals. Because if you have the proper technology, you can actually make it clean in the first place, where you require literally no filtration of chemicals. Kind of like water. I mean, we have to filter our water, obviously, because our water is so toxic. But even our filters for water, so you know, don't filter out all the toxic stuff. And so this is what I've been doing a lot. I'm literally having to educate doctors who are trying to implement the hydrogen thing, because hydrogen is basically my expertise. I know more about hydrogen than just about anything. And
before you go there,
yes,
is hydrogen a natural thing? How, I mean, obviously, if our body needs it, when God created the earth, or the earth was developed, how do we normally receive hydrogen, or how are we supposed to?
Let me answer that question. In my opinion, hydrogen is actually the most natural substance in the universe, in the world. And let me explain why. When you speak about quote unquote God, not to get into the whole religious aspect of it, because people get weird about that, but okay. even in ancient scripture, it said, "Let there be light," right?
Yeah.
What do you think the sun is made of? What do you think all the stars are made of?
Hydrogen.
There you go, my brother. It's hydrogen and helium, but what people don't understand is that helium is a form of hydrogen. It's kind of like saying oxygen and ozone. A lot of people don't know that ozone is just an additional oxygen molecule. It's O3 instead of O2.
Yeah.
It's virtually, I don't want to say the same thing, but it's virtually the same thing. So let there be light. Now, scientists tell you that the very first thing ever created was hydrogen. It's the most natural substance there is. And it's in virtually everything. The problem is is making it bioavailable to the body. So hydrogen is actually in water, because we know that water is H2O.
H2O, right.
There you go. And we are talking, there's different types of hydrogen. And the one that is shown to have medical benefit, like the one that I'm breathing in now, because it's good for me, I might as well while I'm hanging out with you. H2 is molecular hydrogen. This is the one that's been studied. This is the one that is being used medically. I'm going to guess that the one that you're inhaling, if you remember, was called Brown's gas.
Again,
you
I
don't
have
remember.
no idea. No.
Okay, because they tend to try to fuse them together and say, oh, this is hydrogen, but it's not pure hydrogen. See, this is one of those funny little things where it's not quite the same thing. I use the stuff that is medically already certified and being used in hospitals in Japan. We already know it's medically approved. It's the real deal. The problem is that a lot of people, especially in America, I hate to say this, but it's going on a lot in America, is they're trying to use things and claim they're hydrogen when they're not. So like, for example, you were even talking about the alkaline water thing. Do you remember, have you heard of the Kangen machines?
Of course.
And people get big on the whole alkaline water thing. You have to be really cautious. And I say cautious because these things can potentially be harmful. And it's because, like a lot of things, you're trying to do something the right way, but you can actually harm yourself too by trying to supposedly improve your health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so hydrogen is actually pH neutral. If you use hydrogen correctly, it doesn't make the water alkaline. The whole alkaline water craze was a huge misunderstanding. They were using these alkaline machines like the Kangens, and they did see benefit, by the way, when they did a study. And this is what people don't understand about scientific studies. You can do a scientific study for 2 weeks, a week, maybe even a month, and you see a benefit and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's a lot of benefit to this. This is the greatest stuff ever. However, what people don't look at is a long-term research study, which I have. And I hate to say this, Kangen devices and other water ionizers that change and manipulate the pH of your water actually appear to cause problems down the road. Why? This is important to understand why. This is all back to understanding how the human body works. Because your stomach is designed, whether you want to believe it is by God or by nature, whatever your belief system is, your stomach is designed to be acidic. Why is it designed to be acidic? Because the acids break down food so that you actually absorb your nutrients properly, and also to kill pathogens. When you start putting in artificially alkalinizing your water through ionization, you actually disrupt your stomach acids, and then it begins to have long-term ramifications. But then the question begins to be, well, wait a second, why was there benefit at the beginning, but not later? What is actually happening? It's because at the beginning, these Kangen machines or these type of water ionizers, and again, I'm not trying to make claims for or against any product. These are just my opinion. And these are my opinions based on data that I've seen, of course. The problem is that those machines were making hydrogen inadvertently. See, people didn't know that back in the day. They remember when they were trying to sell these things, they're like, oh, it's the alkaline water. The alkaline water is so magical. It had nothing to do with the pH. The alkalinity of the water had nothing to do with the benefits. It was hydrogen that was bringing those benefits. The problem is they didn't know that. Now in Japan, remember, America is like literally 1 or 2 decades behind as far as understanding this. This is why I've had to go to Japan to literally understand this stuff, because we are completely wrong. And most of the physicians here just don't have a clue. I hate to say that, but they don't. They're hearing it from somebody else and they don't get it. They have to go to the source and they don't. And so these devices were making hydrogen the wrong way. And this is what I was trying to tell you, is that people are implementing hydrogen incorrectly, in my opinion, based on data, really. Because hydrogen is pH neutral, hydrogen is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Okay, and a lot of people try to make water. Well, it's a lot, yeah, it's a lot like water. And if anything, water is primarily hydrogen, right? So right. we know that it's hydrogen. But ultimately, hydrogen is a gas, kind of like oxygen. It's a gas. I'm obviously breathing it in right now. And so these devices were the wrong way to do hydrogen. And of course, Kangen devices and these water ionizers, you can't inhale hydrogen gas from those devices, which is another drawback. And the device that you used I can pretty much guarantee, because I already know which, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're already talking about. I just don't want to throw any names under the bus or whatever,
no need to.
you know, but those devices can't really make the water properly. And they usually use stainless steel to make hydrogen, and they usually use a chemical called lye. You don't want to make hydrogen using stainless steel and lye. The understanding of the technology in regards to metal is so important when you make hydrogen. It gets really complex, but it can be simplified if you really want it to be simplified. And that's what I try to do. I just want to make it easy for people. I want people to be like, look, what am I supposed to be doing? What's the safest way to do this? Because if you do it wrong in the long term, and I'll tell you right now, I've literally had physicians contact me who use the equipment, kind of like what you were talking about. After long-term usage, I literally have them contact me and say, why are my patients getting sick? I kid you not, I've had this happen multiple times. In fact, there was a woman, this is really sad actually, because there was a woman who recently died by using the wrong type of hydrogen. And that's very, very sad, because hydrogen actually is the purest substance known to man. So why would the purest substance known to man cause harm? And this is because of what I would call byproduct. And it's very important. Just like, why would fruits and vegetables make us sick? Well, if there's a bunch of chemicals on it and it's all GMO'd or whatever, you just never know what's going on with these things. It's important to do it correctly, and purity is everything. And the same thing for water. I show people, I mean, I have lab testing right here. I know the best way to clean water, and I know the best way to make hydrogen water. And it's, the Japanese are literally at the forefront of this. They're literally the best there is in the world. And when I was looking for it, see, I was reading medical data. I was literally reading scientific data about hydrogen. And when I first read it, you probably don't know my personality in regards to this, but I'm a huge skeptic. When people start saying, oh, this is great, I'm a huge skeptic. It's borderline a problem. And so I don't jump on every bandwagon. And when I first read the literature, I actually thought it was a scam.
Yeah.
And I read the literature for almost 4 years before I even thought of using it. And I literally went to go look who in the heck was doing these studies. Where is this coming from? It was coming from Japan. Once I saw that it was medically approved, I thought, well, wait a second, this is the real deal. And then I had to research, well, what's the best way of making hydrogen? I thought, you can't go down to the corner drugstore and buy it. And so this really became a long road. And I literally, not to toot my horn again, but I literally became an expert in the best way of making hydrogen. And it required a lot of patented technology. I mean, again, these guys are way ahead of everybody. The metal that you use is so important. And I haven't seen almost anybody in the world using the right stuff. And the company that I found that was doing it correctly, what did? They patented it. They didn't want anybody to be able to get their hands on it. It's like, oh my God, okay, so they patented it, but they do make a piece of equipment. And that's the one that I'm using right now. I only use the best. When it comes to the cleanest water and the cleanest hydrogen, I only use the best. I'm not going to put my health on the line. You know what I mean? I want the best health, and I want to do it the right way.
I feel the same way. I have companies and people that send me a ton of products that say, try this, you know, get an endorsement or, you know, have me talk about it or rep it or whatever. Hey, take your hose off. You're freaking me out. Sure. Okay. People are watching going, he's dying over there.
He's dying.
So I want to switch gears a minute, sure. And I want to talk about your company in a second, but I want to stay on the topic of water, and let's switch gears here for a second. And I showed the book because I thought it was so interesting, and I had seen this before. We had a speaker at my spiritual center, Agape, in Los Angeles. But talk about that and talking. I know a lot about energy and water, but share with our viewers and listeners about water and giving it love and putting notes on it and all that stuff.
All right. Well, let me say this. Water, in my opinion, is absolutely magical. Okay, I'm a big believer and proponent of clean water. Here's the problem. When you just say the word water, it's not all the same. And this is where the fundamental problem is. What if I just take tap water? What if I take sewage water? What if I take the cleanest, most pristine water? And by the way, water has everything to do with hydrogen. So doing it correctly means everything. Now I'm going to share with you, this may blow your mind. I don't know if it's going to blow your mind, but this is actually my theory. I came up with it. A lot of people probably they've already tried to steal my theory, but basically this guy, you know who, and I'm showing you this book, it's called The Hidden Messages in Water. Do you even know who wrote this?
Masaru.
Masaru Emoto. Now, Japanese guy, brother. Again, back to the Japanese. I'm telling you right now, the Japanese are next level. I mean, these are the people, this is where I've learned so much of what I have been doing. Okay, they are next level when it comes to water. The thing is, though, here's this picture, right? I hate to say it, but in my opinion, and this is a big claim, but I think he made a big mistake. Because, and I'll tell you what my opinion is and what the mistake he made. And it's not a big deal in a way. We know that water responds. I mean, he clearly proved that water is responding to our words, to pictures, to thoughts, to music, and on it goes, right? So many things that water appears to be responding. But here's where, in my opinion, his mistake was. What do you really think is responding? And people would say, well, it's water. Oh, really?
Energy.
What is water made of?
Energy. The hydrogen.
It's the hydrogen that's responding. But why? Somebody might be like, dude, you're crazy. Why do you think it's the hydrogen that's responding? It's literally so simple, my friend. And I'll show you. Water is hydrogen and water is oxygen. Okay, H2O. It's H2 meaning 2 parts hydrogen, O, 1 part oxygen. Together we have water. Okay. But if we separate them, you do realize that both of these are gases, right? Hydrogen's a gas, oxygen's a gas, right? So when you separate water and you have hydrogen and oxygen, do you know what they each do? And this is going to blow your mind once you separate them.
Yeah.
Oxygen, in my opinion, is death. You're like, why would oxygen be death? Because oxygen oxidizes. Okay, you take a piece of metal and oxidize it, it'll turn to dust. You'll just rust it till it's dust. That's oxidation. This is the fundamental problem with our health right now. The Japanese discovered that hydrogen, by the way, literally 97 roughly to 98% of all disease comes down to one thing, and that is oxidative stress. This is why hydrogen has been shown to be so amazing for so many things. It's ridiculous how many things it's good for. I mean, it's really kind of gets to the point of ridiculousness. So oxygen, when you separate these two molecules, what happens if you blow up a balloon, and you let go of it? It drops to the ground. Excuse me. It drops to the ground. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, what does hydrogen do? It ascends.
Right.
It's the ascension molecule, brother.
Here we go.
Here we go. I know it gets spiritual. I know it gets
Welcome
weird.
to the 5D.
Dude. I'm telling you. And what it does to the body, I have live blood analysis. I put it on my YouTube channel. I've shown what it does to the blood.
Tell everybody what your YouTube channel is.
All right. My YouTube channel is Uprising 144K. And by the way, it's free. Everything's free. You pay for nothing on my channel. I show everything for free. Okay.
Awesome.
I've shown what it does to the blood. I've literally had doctors. This is a funny story. I had a doctor contact me who saw the video. I think it's video number 68 because I number all my videos. This doctor saw what I showed and they literally said, what you're showing there is impossible. It's not possible what you're showing. You are lying to people. And I said, no, this was an actual lab test. They literally went out and got the exact same device that was used for the lab test, which is the one that I use, because everybody in Japan knows this is the best, by the way. And in America, they don't know that, but in Japan, everybody knows. This is doctors, physicians, everybody knows this is the best, and it's no question. In America, it's a whole other. So this doctor gets the same device, takes it to her own lab, does the exact same test, and after she saw the results, she got back to me. She said, "Oh my Lord, the results were identical. This is unbelievable. This is like, you don't even understand. This goes against gravity. Think about that, because the ascension molecule, I mean, we're talking about something that goes straight up against gravity. Okay, anti-gravity. I know this is getting crazy, but I'm telling you, man, this is real deal. We all know it. We all know the balloons float, okay? And so the problem is that oxygen drops, hydrogen ascends. And when you make water, we're talking about the life molecule is what ascends. The death molecule, oxygen, is what drops to the ground, just like a dead person drops to the ground. Why is this important? Because life responds to life. Death doesn't respond at all. So if you look at a dead horse and you start yelling at it, what's it going to do? It's going to do nothing. It's going to sit there. But if you start yelling at a horse that's alive or do something to freak it out, it's going to respond. It's going to start jumping around and whatever. So back to my original point. What's responding? Life responds to life, my brother. Hydrogen is the thing that responds within the water. That's the part that Masaru Emoto missed. Nobody in the world knows this. This is, like I said, this is my theory. It's the hydrogen that responds. So if you want to talk to anything, if you want to make it respond, because look, you're filled with hydrogen. So here's another little fun scientific fact for you. Your body actually produces hydrogen. Everybody's body produces hydrogen. The problem is, and if anybody can Google this, this is all scientific fact. As you get older, as you're aging, your body makes less and less hydrogen. Now, have you ever noticed how stomach acids, have you ever seen charts as far as how you age and how you make less and less stomach acid as you age?
I have not.
Okay, so that's another simple scientific fact. As you're aging, you make less and less stomach acid. What no doctor has figured out, and for the life of me, I don't know why yet, is because there's a correlation, in my opinion, between stomach acids and the amount of hydrogen that your body produces. And they both go down as you age. And this is why an old person has a real hard time eating a big fat steak, because it's going to just wipe them out. Their body can't digest it properly anymore. It's too much. You need to produce all these stomach acids, and the amount of energy that it takes for the body to produce all these stomach acids is a lot. Your body requires a lot of energy, even to just digest a big meal. To digest a big meal is like 86% of all your energy. Haven't you ever noticed when you eat a big meal, you get really tired, sleepy?
Oh, of course. Yeah. You get the, what do they call it? Yes. I can't.
It knocks you out. It knocks you out. And this has everything to do
Food
with
coma.
that. There you go. Food coma, brother. And so this water is the hydrogen that's responding to it. So what I think that I've actually done here is when I produce hydrogen water, that's when you talk to it. That's when you have positive thoughts to it. That's what brings even more power. And your body already has a ton of hydrogen. That's why if I say something mean to you, it's responding in you. You can literally feel it. I know that sounds crazy.
No,
and this all really sounds crazy.
It doesn't sound crazy to me, but I get a lot of that. But yes, in fact, Dr. John and I were at a seminar with a gentleman. His name was Mendra Trivedi, and he was also an energy medicine guy. And he taught us how to use physical energy to program water, like and other, we can do it to minerals, you can do it to food. A lot of people don't realize by blessing your food, you can pull in even your cocktails. I found out you can remove a lot of people, there's a lot of darkness and dark energy around your cocktail and alcohol. You can actually pull those out energetically. And your food, that's why you want to bless when you're blessing your food. Hands that prepared it, you may have heard that before. People go, oh, so I get that. And I hope, some of the people that are watching this will get that too and start practicing that. Because as you raise the vibration in your water, as we said it earlier in the show, it's your body's 70% water. In fact, I don't know if you follow Abraham or Esther Hicks, but the law of attraction, they talk about taking your water and writing, I take my water and I write on the container, love, anything that I want to program, money, abundance, prosperity. And as you're drinking that is flowing through your body, and that, you are what you attract. You mirror what your body is. And so,
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, not to interrupt you, I think that all that is very real, but we live in a world where, there is the spiritual, the energy aspect, but we also have the physical aspect, and what even the Buddhists might call the ego world, the ego self, all this type of stuff. And so both aspects are important. At least that's what I've discovered through my healing process. And so we still have to, like, we can't just take tap water and pray to it, right? Because all the chemicals in there, and you think you're going to be okay. But I think it's good to do that. I think positive thinking affects our water, affects our bodies, affects our health. But we also have to understand the other side of the spectrum, which is, we're dealing with chemicals here. We have to clean our water. And by the way, hydrogen is so amazing that it protects the body. That's what I've seen. I have video number 8. Unbelievable how much it protects the body, to the point of where you could take certain drugs, for example, or even alcohol. Just so you know, hydrogen appears to protect you from a lot of the negative aspects of alcohol. If I'm going to drink, because I got a lot of friends that, like, hey, let's go have a beer. I always take my hydrogen, and like, even right here, I actually have it right here. There's a special, because hydrogen escapes from water. So this is a special pouch that was designed by the Japanese. And I have a cover on it, but it literally looks like a space bag underneath here. It's like silver. It is specifically designed to hold in the hydrogen for roughly 24 hours. Okay, so I can take it with me, and I literally will drink this before I have a beer with my friends. That's how silly I am,
but it's hydrogen water? Is that what?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what I want to show. What I show people is like, look, do you want to be buying bottled water? No. Do you want to be buying water from the store that has hydrogen in it? In my opinion, no. It's the most expensive, and in my opinion, the most foolish way to do it. You want to actually get a device, and they're not that expensive, and it's going to be much cheaper down the road. It's actually the cheapest way to clean your water and use hydrogen. You want a proper piece of equipment to clean the water. This is where I have the third-party lab testing to prove that the method that I found is the best. And by the way, you mentioned something about my companies. I don't actually own any companies. I don't know if you're aware of that, but like this company, this is not my company. I go and look for the best stuff. And when I find the best, I share it with viewers. So that way they don't have to do all the homework. I've done the homework. I mean, years of homework. So this is going to be making the best water there is. I mean, it's no contest. I hate to say it. It's a simple fact, and I can go into the science of it. This is really basic. And then as far as the best hydrogen, that's a different company. And then there's another company that I use for nutrition. That's a different company. I mean, I don't own any of these companies, right, because I have to go and find the best products. But I like to show people how to clean their water so they can clean it themselves. You don't have to go buy from the store. You can clean it yourself. Same thing with making your own hydrogen water. Same thing with making your own hydrogen gas. All this stuff. Once you have the equipment, and again, it's not expensive. And considering how much healthcare costs, they're not going to like to hear this, because I know the health world is going to hate me. As far as pharmaceutical industry, they're going to hate someone like me. And I am aware of that. And some people even think that I would potentially be in danger, in the very near future, because I've had doctors call me. Like, there's this guy from Penn State, guy from Harvard, guy from Yale. They contact me and they're like, look, what I've seen you do for our patients. Like, I had one doctor recently, this was a few months back. I do blood work all the time to make sure that what I'm doing is working. I had a doctor contact me because of my blood work. I've never had a doctor contact me and say, hey, I'd like to talk to Greg, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Because usually, remember, I worked in the medical field, so I know. They usually call you when there's a problem. And when there's no problem, they usually don't call you.
Right.
That's the way it works.
Sure.
When they called me, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. I got nervous. I was like, whoa, what's going on? I mean, you're calling me. I know what this means. What's going on? And I've never seen anything like it. The physician said, I saw your blood work. I've never seen blood work in my life like your blood. And I would like to know what you're doing, because I actually want to apply it to my patients. Never seen anything like this. And I was like, whoa, okay. You kind of scared me there for a second.
Sure.
And they're like, your blood's unbelievable. They said, like, it's textbook. Never seen anything like this. And so then, of course, I began to explain to them. They're like, oh my gosh, they you started talking about, I got to clean my water. I got to put hydrogen in it. I make these, magical hydrogen smoothies. And they're just like, oh Lord, I thought maybe it was a pill or something, It wasn't that easy, right. Of course. But same thing.
I go out to the bar with my space bag.
Exactly, dude. Oh my Lord.
So tell me about that for some of our viewers, and maybe myself, that may want to, have a cocktail here and there. And you want to drink this hydrogen water beforehand, and what does that do?
Definitely beforehand. One, you're hydrating your body. Alcohol is going to dehydrate you, right?
Sure.
So the first thing is you hydrate. The second aspect about hydrogen is that it appears to function as a very unique, by the way, antioxidant. Okay, so you get that in your body, and the protective aspects of it. When I say protective, I wish I could show the viewers right now. Video number 8 shows what happens to cells when they are bombarded with chemotherapy. With chemotherapy, radiation, whatever, poison, you get like 90% cellular destruction. I mean, it is bad. And when you use hydrogen, instead of 90%, you get 10%. For people to really try to wrap your mind around that, think of a car that's 90% rusted or 10% rusted. You can drive a car with 10% rust, no big deal. 90% rust, God knows if the brakes will work. Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem. Yeah. And so it's all the difference in the world. I could give you countless stories of people, even in Japan, people that I personally have known who were supposed to be dead in 3 months. It's 7 years later, they're still alive. You know, wow. I've seen miracles myself. This is why I became such a big believer. And I'm like, people need to know, because right now, I don't want to say the system's like against us or attacking us, but man, people's health is suffering. If I were to give you the stats right now, everybody's sick, man. Almost everybody's sick these days. And we're looking for something that can help. And I know everybody wants a pill. And unfortunately, there is no pill that I've really seen. I hate to say that. I know a lot of people like pills. That's not what I've seen that works, you know, and what I've seen works is extremely clean water, extremely clean hydrogen, proper protocol with the hydrogen, by the way, and proper nutrients. So food related. And I show people how to overcome nutritional deficiencies. A lot of people don't realize that almost everybody in America is deficient in something. And the science is very clear on deficiencies, by the way. You know, people don't realize that we can turn disease off and on like a light switch with deficiencies. Like, I'll just give you one example. Deficiency in vitamin C. You know what that causes? Causes scurvy. You fix the deficiency of vitamin C, scurvy goes away. It's that easy. And this goes for a lot of different medical conditions that people don't really realize. Basic stuff. So I created a protocol.
And the right vitamin C too, not the shit that that you think. Make sure you're getting a good vitamin C from a good source that can be distributed throughout your body. Don't just grab the first thing on the shelf. And another thing I wanted to bring up that we talked about in the beginning, we talked about, you can have $1 billion in the bank and not your health. I have, I've known a few.
You got $1 billion?
Yes, I do. It just hasn't manifested quite yet, but billionaire is definitely here. But in doing my research about billionaires and in different walks of life, I found that as soon as they turn the corner, and maybe not billionaire, but as soon as they made the commitment, they knew that they were on their walk, on their track, the first thing they adjusted was buying the best quality food. And if you, if you
That's don't exactly what I do.
Exactly. Well, there you go, billionaire boy.
You don't even have to be rich, though. That's the thing. You don't have to be rich to do this, my brother. I'm telling you, you don't have to be rich.
I changed the quality of eggs that I was eating, and it was amazing how much difference I felt in my brain. Instead of just eating the store-bought that says organic, when you paid that, and I know eggs are ridiculously priced from what we were used to a year ago, but the price that I'm paying now, there's no expense. I mean, like, I would not change the brand or the quality, maybe the brand, but not the quality that I'm eating because of what it's done for my body.
Absolutely. I invest huge in my food.
Yeah.
I invest big in my water, my food, my hydrogen. I mean, that's the majority of it, and some minerals that I use. And it's really that basic, I mean, I guess if people really want to know, just in case they want to know, you want me to share like the websites where the equipment that I use for water, for hydrogen, and the nutritional food or powders that I use? Do you want me to share that?
I'm happy for you to mention them. We're going to link them below, which are, I think go ahead and mention them, but we'll have the links below. A lot of times people aren't going to get up and write them down. They'll either, if they're watching this on their computer or their phone, they'll just click
right, because just in case, because I know when I watch shows, I'm like, can you just tell me where to get this stuff?
Yeah, okay, go for it. Sure.
the first one is, if you want to make the cleanest water there is, the website is called mypurewater.com. Okay. That's, and you're going to notice an interesting pattern here, because I didn't do this on purpose, but I found that it's interesting. What was the key word? Pure. My pure water. Remember, I told you everything that I do is all about purity, because I find that that helps a lot with my health. So mypurewater.com. If people want a discount code, you can use the code uprising144K. I mean, that is my discount code. I don't care if people use the code or not, but if you want to use it, you can use the code. And that's where this third-party lab testing is from. These guys literally have the best carbon distillers in the world that I've seen. They're made in America, by the way, and they use higher end parts, which is why their equipment's so good. And they really go all out on pure water. So, and remember, I'm not really biased, actually. I go always for the best.
This is a countertop unit.
They have countertop units. They have units that are not countertop. They have multiple different types of units. The cheapest one they have, which I have both the two cheapest units that they have that are countertops. With the discount code, it's like 500 and something bucks. And dude, these units last almost forever. They're so well built. They're like industrial grade, but the cleanliness of the water for 500 and something bucks, and I can make the cleanest water ever. And you can use this water for so many things, by the way, with the hydrogen, from eye drops to ear drops to nasal netties. You have to be careful with the quality of your water, because a lot of people don't realize. Here, I'll show you the third-party lab testing here real quick. There's biological contaminants in the water, guys. We're talking about bacteria. We're talking about viruses. We're talking about some pretty nasty stuff, parasites, that no water filtration system will really filter out completely. And this is literally the best there is when it comes to that. So anyway, if people want clean water, that's how I got my health. I believe in clean water, and a normal water filter won't do it. I don't care if you have an RO system. I don't care if you have a carbon filter, nanogravity filters. I know every water filtration modality in existence. This is my specialty. And I own every water filtration modality there is. And what do I drink every single day? Is the super clean carbon distilled with hydrogen. That's what I do. That's just what I personally do. And I do live videos every single day in the mornings. I show how to do it because I have a routine.
Because I've been in the health and wellness not space as a practice. I mean, as a consumer, not
Sure.
talking about it. But are you familiar? What is your best shower filter or a whole home unit that you found?
So shower filters and whole home units are really tricky, because what people don't do is they don't read the fine print. See, when you take a shower, I'm going to guess you want to use hot water, right?
Correct.
Well, have you ever read the fine print?
Unless you're doing Wim Hof.
Unless you're doing Wim Hof, that's true. But most people want to take a warm shower. And the problem is that carbon filters don't really work that well when the water goes hot. But people don't know that. Whole water filtration systems are usually used by carbon filters. This means that you're only going to get certain things out of the water, but you're not going to get everything out of the water. There is no system that will get everything out of the water for your entire house. It's just not possible. So what you do is you get a carbon filtration system for the whole house. But when you want to go crazy like I do, which is I want to drink the cleanest water, and of course I want to put hydrogen in it, because hydrogen just transforms the water.
I'm crazier than you, because I do the whole home unit, then I do this system and the shower filter. So
oh, there you go. There you go. Well, there you go. But
I'm a nut like that. But
no, I'm like that too, man. And and actually, so just to mention this real quick. So I already gave you guys, just so people who do want the websites, I already gave you the water filter one. The one for hydrogen is called holyhydrogen.com. And that's interesting too, because think about the name. Holy, H-O-L-Y.
Yep.
And then hydrogen is HYDROGEN.com. And it's all one word, holyhydrogen.com. Yeah, it's with, the holy with an H, H-O-L-Y. Remember I told you that you're going to see a pattern here. People don't understand what even the word holy means. It has everything to do with purity. So these guys are Holy Hydrogen. They're the most pure hydrogen that I've ever seen. And I know every hydrogen machine out there, by the way. They make the best stuff. This company, My Pure Water, they use the word pure. And then the last product that I really like is from a company called Purium. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but the website's called iShopPurium.com. And they have the purest products that I've seen in regards to food-based nutrition, which is, I'm really big on food stuff being our source for nutrients. And if anybody, again, if they want the
Yeah,
discount
we
codes,
had our
can,
boy Ian on from Purium.
oh, there you go.
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
was
Ian.
telling us all about it. In fact, I use this one of the sleep products.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love Ian. I've spoken to him many times, and I love that guy. And they have great products. This is why, and the name is in there again, Purium. Again, purity, and it didn't even have. It was all by accident. When I was doing all my research, and I ended up coming up with these 3 products that are my favorite ones that I use literally every single day, and it's all about the purity, and that helps the body be healthier. That's the craziest part. So those are the websites. Hopefully that helps people find what they're looking for.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate all your time and information, dude. Oh, before we go, I show some of the pictures from the book. That was my
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I want to I'm sure you've
There's one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's tons
Now
of them. I mean,
explain some of these and tell show the viewer kind of what they are. Let me see if
Let's see here. Let's look at one of these. This one is when you say thank you, but in Japanese, which is arigato. So this is the one
in
saying thank you in Japanese.
Yeah.
And actually, these are all thank you, but in different languages. So English is this one right here, this orangish one that looks kind of like the sun.
Yeah.
This next one's in Chinese right here. And, I'm fine with saying thank you in Chinese. I'm just not real fond of their products. Sorry to say that, but I'm not big on the Chinese stuff. This is German. This one right here. Thank you in German.
That one will last very long.
This one's in French. Merci. This one right here.
Merci.
It's kind of fun. It's interesting how different language. Look at Korean. Korean one's pretty. This one right here. Korean.
Notice notice that's clear like our television sets.
And I was gonna say this is South Korean, okay? I don't know what North Korean thank you is. It's probably the same. I don't really know. This is Italian. This is pretty.
Oh, that.
So
really it's really funny looking at those. When you say that, it kind of resembles the country. It's really interesting.
Oh, good point. Good point. One thing I was going to share with you. Remember, I told you that in my opinion, it's the hydrogen that's responding, right?
Of course, we Americans are the orange loud ones.
That's a good point too. Oh my gosh, let's pull that back up again. This guy right here.
Orange. Yeah, we're just abrupt orange louds like the sun.
Yeah. This might make an interesting point. Remember, I told you that I think that it's ultimately the hydrogen that's responding to our words, to our mind, the pictures. Think about this for 1 second. Do you know that in ancient cultures, what did they used to pray to?
What?
The sun.
Yes.
The sun.
Yeah,
the sun is made of, it's pretty much entirely hydrogen. I mean, to the Japanese, it was so important. They put it on their flag. It's a big sun. Now, granted, on the American flag, you have all the stars, but the stars are basically, the sun is a star.
Right. Sure.
And these ancient practice in Japan is the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning and the sun rises, they make their prayers to the sun. And like I said, it's the hydrogen that responds. You know what I mean? And it's the hydrogen that interconnects everything. It gets really, you can call it spiritual, but it's also very scientific. We're beginning to realize that we can measure it and see it.
Yes.
And everybody thought this guy was crazy. It took a decade.
I think we're coming to an age where people are waking up, and I clarify waking up, not woke, waking up to say we've been misled. We've been lied to, and we've been put things in our body that we shouldn't have, but believing an entity that we were taught to believe in, and now there's got to be something else. Or now, how do we dig ourselves out of this shit? How do we help? And I'm so glad you were on the show. Again, I want to remind everybody, all of the links that Greg talked about will be listed below with Mel's affiliate links and if you have questions, put the comments below. We'll be happy to get to them, or we'll have somebody reach out to you that can answer your questions. If you're getting late on the show, Mel, this is still the Mel Carmine Show and the XRP channel. Listen, I can't stress to you guys enough, get your health right. And all the changes that are going on right now in the world, you got to have your health. You got to be sharp. You got to pay attention to what's going on. And especially if you're going to be watching this market, educating yourself on what's happening with the QFS, with XRP. Again, links below if you need to get large any XRP. Of course, you can go to Uphold. If you need smaller amounts, is probably the easiest way. And we can help you with that as well. My name is Scott Steele, sitting in for Mel Carmine, the Mel Carmine Show. I call it the Carmine Connection because he just knows everybody. You can find me at on Instagram at Scott Steele Live. If you want to learn about this great glutathione, by the way, Greg, the gentleman who created, the founder of the company Numi, his name is Stephen K. Scott, best-selling author. He is, if you remember the Total Body Gym with Christy Brinkley and Chuck Norris, he's a gentleman that brought that out to the world, and it's still one of the most successful infomercials ever. But he had made a ton of money, but lots of his friends and himself, he knew that glutathione was one of the miracle molecules, and glutathione is so important to your body, folks. And you can learn about that by going to whattheg.com, or you can go to numi.com/Team Global. And they actually have a Greg, they actually have a hydrostat patented technology where they actually break down the water molecule, add the glutathione into it through this molecular process. And then they have a reactor that they spin. I've actually had eyes on it. It's amazing. But then you swish it in your mouth for about 30 seconds. Which enables the product through the hydrostat technology to get through sublingually, past the mitochondrial, past the blood-brain barrier, and into the cell within 60 seconds. And it's doing wonderful things. It has helped my TBI with, obviously, by drinking some good water. I cannot wait to add some of the hydrogen products that you're talking about, to see the proper hydrogen products, to see the benefit that it would have on my body. But I want to thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, reach out to us in the comments or our emails or through our social. We'd be happy. I want to wish you from the bottom of my heart, and everyone here at the Carmine Connection, we wish you the best and absolute best in everything you do, and wishing you God's best and blessings right now where you are today. All the best and blessings.